There's the baby's kitchen. Wow, it's messy over there.
I am super excited about today's episode. It's time to take you on a walkthrough of how I set up my kitchen for success. What do I mean by that? Well, a lot of the time you spend in the kitchen is on meal prep, preparing dinners, lunches, breakfast for your family, for yourself. So if the space isn't set up to make it an enjoyable experience, a lot of times you don't want to be in there. So I want to show you my method, my best tips and tricks to set up your kitchen in a way that takes like the mental anxiousness, clutter out of your head and makes the space totally ready for you to actually enjoy meal prep. So if you're someone right now that's like, oh, I dread cooking or I dread meal prep or I just hate doing it, setting your kitchen up in a way that just makes it super easy to execute and simple, you're never gonna dread it again. It's just gonna make total sense. So I'm gonna take you through this kitchen and I'm gonna show you exactly how I arrange things to make meal prep fun. So a couple things that I noticed growing up or spending time in other people's kitchens is if it is not set up in a way where my mind can actually focus on the task at hand, I do not get things done as efficiently. What do I mean by that? Okay, have you ever been in a kitchen where you like go to use like a utensil and like everything gets stuck in the drawers and you're like, oh, like this is not making the experience fun? Or maybe like you go to grab like storage after meal prep is done and all of your Tupperware just piles over and you're like, okay, I gotta spend more time now organizing the Tupperware, finding the matching lid. It's just, it gets so frustrating where you're like, I don't even wanna do meal prep. I just wanna go out and get all convenience food or carry out because that just seems way easier. Well, I'm gonna show you a couple little tricks of how I set up the kitchen and how I organize it as a system. No, I'm not the home edit over here. This is just the Angie method of how I think about things. But I think if you can just focus on a few things, you can set up your kitchen really easily where you don't have to just rely on easy cleanup from carry out or convenience foods. You can make everything in your kitchen, make it easy, make it simple, and make it work for you. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start from left to right of my kitchen. I'll show you the big bird's eye view.
What I'm talking about is right to the left of the microwave and the stove, okay? So if I'm gonna be baking, oh look, I made a strawberry chocolate cheesecake today. So that's resting. That looks pretty good. You can check out my celebration episode for that recipe. Okay, so to the left of the stove. Everything that I'm gonna be using in the stove, spices that I actually use. So I'm not talking about just filling up this thing with all the random spices you gotta buy for recipes. These are like my go-to ones. And so I've got like different seasonings like nacho cheddar. I've got different rubs for protein or for vegetables. Obviously salt and pepper and onion powder. And this is where I keep my baking sprays and my oils in the back. So part of having a kitchen I enjoy being in is not having a bunch of stuff on the countertop. That was my other big thing. I was like, Paul, we are not junking up that thing. I need to see it the way I need to see it. Next thing on the top is, oh, surprise, cheesecake stuff. So I have cake mix, I have mini chocolate chips, I have pudding mix, I have xanthan gum for protein blizzards, and then other spices that I just don't use as much, but I put them up there. So that's how I start with spices. And then it's easy to grab and easy to go right to the stove. Okay, drawer next to it. I have essentials, right? So something to cover stuff with. So I have plastic wrap, parchment paper for all of my baking sheets when I'm roasting or baking anything, wax paper for easy measuring of meat on the food scale, and then obviously heavy duty foil. You cannot go wrong with that stuff. Is the best. I no longer buy the cheap stuff. You got to get that Reynolds wrap. And then I have all my kitchen towels in here. So the babies were in here, so these should be folded a little bit better. And then I have only 2 pot holders, not 10 like I used to grow up with at my house. I have enough that is actually what I need as far as for the stove goes. Okay, now underneath. I did not check this before I showed you it, and the babies like to have fun in here, and I'm home with them, so let's see. Okay, pots and pans. The colander, looks like they were playing with that. Skillets, mixing bowls, and more skillets, okay? That is it. I can grab it all very easily, and it's not where I am battling with it to actually get it out and to put it on the stove to make something. And so it's all about creating a space that's easily accessible for you to grab. Okay, moving over, going left to right. One of my absolute favorite kitchen appliances is a baking sheet. If you don't have them, go to Costco and buy like the industrial ones. I'll tell you how I use those in a minute. Okay, making my way over here. We have clear cabinets, so I have all white dishes. So that's simple. I just keep all of my actual like serving stuff there. I guess I forgot to show you over here. And that is barware. We actually have a bar cart, but nothing can go in it because they really like to put their little fingers on it. So that's just barware. And then anything that I don't want that doesn't look pretty, but I still need it, goes in my other cabinet. So I have the baby stuff. I have more like actual serving bowls and then more of their stuff up top. But again, I just want it to be visually really appealing and pretty and organized so I know exactly what I want and when I want to grab it. The other thing is I swore when people would want to keep giving me more kid stuff, I was like, that's all they need. I'll use the dishwasher so I don't overload it. Okay, and then the only thing on here is my knife block on my counter and my butter dish. That's it. Okay. Let me show you the next part of the kitchen. I'm about to show you my absolute favorite drawer in the entire kitchen. And call me crazy that I get this excited about a drawer. But like I was saying, part of my anxiousness of being in a kitchen, especially at our old place, we lived in an older home, like the setup did not make sense, nor was I organized in a way that actually made, like I said, the experience of meal prep fun. So this might be my absolute favorite drawer in the house, and let me show you why. All right, I'm gonna spin it around. Look how easy this drawer opens up, and it's exactly what I need in here. Not any more and any less. So I've got my measuring cups. We have our tongs that we serve in, and I face things this way rather than the handles so I can see what it is. So I have spatulas, which I use a lot, serving spoons. I don't really use these pasta ones in the ladle very often, but they're in there, in the masher. But see how it is easy to grab it out there. I am not getting tangled up with anything. And now when I need something to go from here to stove, it's an easy process. And then the things I really use the most are these spatulas here in the whisk because I make a lot of cheesecake and a lot of eggs and skillets. And so that's how that is. Now, once I kind of like get this a little bit more figured out, I'll probably get those like slider spacer things. But for now, this works great and I can pull the drawer out and I'm super happy about it. Now this one, just because of the boys, I don't want to have locks on everything, which I do. So I keep stuff in here that I don't necessarily use as much. So this kind of looks a little bit junkier, but it's a little bit more of the sharp items. So you'll notice it's got like the grater. It has like the meat masher. I've got like the meat thermometer. So sometimes I like to open and poke with that, and the vegetable peeler. So I use that stuff, but I keep it just in a container right now so I don't have any injuries with two-year-old toddlers. Okay, that's that drawer. Okay, my next favorite cabinet. Right under that one, it is the actual appliances that I use more often than not. And so if there's something like a turkey roasting pan or, you know, themed holiday dishes, I have those up higher where I don't need them as often, or I keep them in a storage closet or, you know, storage in the garage. So below are things, again, that I actually use that are kind of heavy to go from like one cabinet up to the counter. So I keep them in a position where I don't have to reach high to come to the counter with them. I go low to come to the counter with them, making it an easier process. So let me show you what my go-to appliances are down there that I use most often and how I have it set up. Okay, so I'm right below my favorite drawer. Kind of odd that I feel like this about my kitchen. Da, 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 da. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, I have been to so many kitchens where there's always been so much stuff on the counter. I already told you that's not my thing. I told Paul we will have a system. So we use the toaster a lot. We like a lot of bread and English muffins around here. Obviously, if you follow me, I use this baby all the time. And yes, I'm looking at getting the air fryer. I might get the 2-in-1, but that thing is heavy and it's bulky. And so it's easier to go from here up to the counter. These are more like your Corningware, like baking storage dishes, mixing bowls, and then I keep my cutting boards down here too, so it's easy to go from below right up to the counter rather than it sitting. And then on top, you know, it's more like my hand mixer, mixing bowls, and cheesecake pie plates. So those are my main things. I actually do have a slow cooker in here in the back. I just don't use it as often now that I have the Instant Pot, but it's still there because it can be a little bit heavy and bulky. So if I am like throwing a party or I need it, it's easy to grab. So that's literally the only tools that I really use as far as appliances go are these two. I'll show you where the blender is. I should say that. And then I'm going to show you where I keep the food processor because I don't use it as much. So I don't want it to take up all of my essential space.
Okay, what was the second thing I said I can't handle? Tupperware and storage containers spilling out everywhere. It literally ruins my experience in the kitchen when I am fighting with things to put things away or to take things out. So, Paul and I have committed that we use mostly glassware now. A couple different reasons. A, we both just cannot handle Tupperware, like not having matching lids and it just not being appealing to look at, but also we just feel like glass actually keeps your food fresher longer. And I love that it's clear and it stays clear. It doesn't take on like the weird film that Tupperware does with certain foods. So then when this is stored in the refrigerator, we can actually see what we made. So it's easier to pull leftovers out and actually eat the food that's prepped rather than kind of forgetting what's in there because you don't know what's in those random Tupperware or old Cool Whip containers or whatever else people use to store things in. So this is how I do it. Now, the only Tupperware I literally do have is a few of these smaller ones. So if I'm going out and about with the boys to the park or we're doing something like the zoo, I'll put fruit in here. So then if they end up dropping it, it's not a big deal. But I have 4 of those. And then I have one larger one, just again, if I'm going somewhere and I need to bring something for them. Other than that, I have it organized by big ones right here. So like your square ones, which are great for like my proteins because I feel like they need the most space. I probably have 4 that are used in the fridge right now. So that's why you only see that amount. And then I have my 9x13s. And so I keep all of my glassware under the sink. Originally when I moved in, I actually had it above. And then I started to realize, I am really short and one of these days this is gonna just kind of come piling out and come to my head. And so I switched it to put it at the bottom, plus I needed more room. And now it just makes more sense because a lot of times when I'm putting food away, I'm doing it on my island counter. So now all I have to do is go from the space right underneath it up top and I can put the food away and it's super easy transition with that. So then I have 9x13s, I have my square rectangle ones, I have bowls, and then if you guys haven't seen this, I got these at Target. What is this brand name? ELO. These are cool because they can go right from the refrigerator to the microwave with the silicone on it. These are pretty neat and it keeps things pretty warm when you actually warm things up in them. And then this is where I keep my blender. So I didn't have enough room next to my Instant Pot and I keep that one open. I don't mind if the boys play with the pot, but if you noticed, I got safety hooks on this one. I don't want them really playing around with that blade, so I keep that over here. But again, I have outlets in my island, so it's really easy just to go from where I'm gonna prepare it from where I store it, like with no time at all. So that's the other thing I'm thinking about is where I'm actually gonna cook stuff. So I want everything in relation to where I'm gonna cook it. So all it is grabbing it and getting started. I'm not wasting a lot of time going from opposite ends of the kitchen to get rocking and rolling, which I know sounds silly, like it shouldn't take that much time, but this takes way less time and you just don't have to think about it because everything's already set up for easy execution. So that's where I keep all my storage stuff. Let's keep going.
Okay, so just for reference, I was right over here with the Instant Pot and my utensils. Then I took you this way, boop, 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 down there for storage. So this one, I think this also makes sense because you're usually like, it's the last thing you grab before you get ready to eat. This is where all my silverware is. I definitely have a silverware caddy. And then the boys have their own spot for their utensils so they know where to grab. And this is where I keep my measuring spoons and like little tiny whisks and stuff like that. And it makes it super fun. And these ones, they just kind of like to play with. They're kind of cute, construction and dinosaur themed. So I keep them closer to where they can grab it. So if they come in here and they want to grab something, they grab something mommy wants them to grab. So that's silverware. So it's right here by the island, ready to go when I want to eat.
So finishing up the tour, and then I'm going to go through my favorite kitchen tools, and then we'll call it a day. But I want to show you how I organize under the sink. Again, you're probably thinking, man, this girl is a little cuckoo. But have you ever thought about like systems in other places of your house that if it actually has some type of system to it, it's just way easier to keep it clean or organized, or for you to kind of just do things more efficiently? Like I have systems for the mud room. I have systems for the garage. Like, have you ever thought, oh, when you open the garage, if you just see it totally chaotic where there's just crap everywhere, it actually mentally screws with you, right? All of a sudden, you might have been having a great day. You open your garage and you just immediately feel anxious because of all this stuff. So this is how I organize my kitchen, my mudroom, my bathroom cabinets, my closet, the whole thing. It's almost like when you make your bed the first thing in the morning and you already feel accomplished because that part of your system of keeping your room clean and organized, it's done. That's what I'm trying to do with the kitchen, because eating is a big part of our day and a big part of our life. So we should make the time we spend in the kitchen valuable and enjoyable. So I'm gonna show you how I organize under the sink, because part of meal prep means there's gonna be cleanup. So let's make the cleanup just as easy as the prep. All right, let me turn the camera.
First, you have to get in and be smarter than the safety hooks. So there we go. Okay, so when I get in here, I really am into storage bins. So I obviously use my soap when I'm hand washing all the time. So that goes front and center. We keep our garbage under here and we just take it out more often, because I cannot stand having a garbage can in my kitchen because, well, A, the boys just like to get into it, but I don't know, I just don't like it visually. This is my drying rack, so I just keep that right there. And then everything else is simple. I only have in here what I need. So I have like Clorox wipes to clean the counter. I have my pods for the dishwasher. I have like refill for actual hand soap. I have extra towels to like wipe down. And that's all I need under here. Oh, and a magic eraser, because you have to have a magic eraser, right? It just takes care of everything. But that's all I have under here. So then it's just super easy to actually go from here to my dishwasher, which is right there, and to my sink, which is right there. So that's kind of how I organize that. And oh, the other thing, grocery bags. I mean, obviously I use them for diapers still, but I had to get something to keep them organized. I could not handle when they would just be loose out underneath. So that's that. And then I wanted to show you one thing. My coach, Kate, at Lingzo Fit, got me this for a housewarming gift. I think she got it from Uncommon Goods. You guys, she was like totally right. It holds your sponge, and it actually looks really classy. So now I don't have like random things in my sink, and my sponge stays there without making a mess. So that's that.
So I want to take you through my top appliances or utensils or things that I would recommend you have for easy meal prep. Now, you do not have to have all of these. I'm gonna show you like the top ones and then give you a couple other examples. But if you have a saucepan, a skillet, any old skillet, a cutting board, something to cut with, and something to store with, you are good to go. You can literally then make everything on stovetop or oven. You'll have something to cut and chop with, something to cut and chop on, and something to store in. Like literally, saucepan, skillet, storage, cutting board, knife. 5 things. You could have a perfectly set up kitchen. So if you're watching this and you don't really have much of a kitchen setup and you're like, I'm just moving into somewhere new, just get it. Super simple stuff, 5 things, you'll be good to go. But I'm gonna show you what my go-to things are and why I only have maybe 1 or 2 things, and that's mainly because I don't want it to look disorganized in my kitchen, and I am more than happy to clean up more often than to have a bunch of random stuff here. So I'm gonna go cutting boards first. I have 3 different sizes. These are the OXO brand. I got them as a pack for like one of my wedding registry gifts. You guys, most of my wedding registry was all kitchen. In fact, it's kind of a joke because I probably had more entertaining pieces on there than you could imagine. I think I own about 15 white platters, which I actually use. So I didn't show you where my platter station is, but I do have a whole organized place for that because I actually like using that stuff. I didn't want to just put it on my registry and never look at it again. But this one is from my wedding registry, and we will be married 10 years this July, and so they've lasted a really long time. So I use the small one for like onions and things that I feel like leave kind of a residue or a smell on the cutting board, and then I can easily put it in the dishwasher. So Paul knows this is mainly for onions. And then we have the mid-size one, which I keep under the cabinet. This is where most of my fruit and vegetables are happening. And so it's easy for me to grab it, and then we kind of know that's what it's designated towards. And then the bigger one I keep in the pantry because there's really no space for it underneath. But this is more for when we're cutting raw meat or we're resting cooked meat. And then it has the rim on it to catch the juices when you actually slice your meat. And then again, we kind of know that's designated more towards raw meat, so we kind of keep with that, the same as cooked meat. Okay, and then we already talked about storage, pots, pans, all that good stuff. Okay, a good knife. I did not understand the importance of this, but if you want to actually get faster at cutting meat or vegetables or fruit or whatever it is, you must have a sharp knife in your arsenal. And my brother-in-law is actually a chef, so he gifted this to us for our wedding. And again, 10 years, it's just as sharp as the day we got it, but we have a knife sharpener. So it might be an investment, but it's an investment worth making if you want to have one really solid tool in the kitchen. It's a good kitchen knife, all right? Now, obviously most of us have measuring cups, so I get these from the dollar store because the babies like to play with them so much. I don't think they need to be fancy. I have a couple glassware ones that stay up high, but measuring cups are great if you're a big baker. And then as far as like my actual tools, the only ones I really think you need, and one of them is fine, a pair of tongs, so it's easy to flip things, and it's great for grilling. It's also great for just serving things. So I use tongs rather than a bunch of like salad tongs and stuff like that. I just use these. Again, this is the OXO brand, and I love it because it has like the push, so it's easy to open and then easy to stay closed. You just pull it open, pull it apart, and then it doesn't just like flop open in the cabinet where then it's getting tangled again. So they stay closed on their own. I have a serving spoon. I do have a slotted one too, but you need one. That's it, just one spoon to scoop with. A spatula, so if you're a big pancake maker or whatever else you're doing with it, one like silicone actual like spatula too is a key for your utensil drawer, and then a whisk. And really, those are the main utensils that I use. Like I said, I have a masher, I have like a meat, pounder or whatever. I have a zester, and I use them sometimes, but not most of the time. So I just keep the ones that I use more often in the space that's more visual to me. And then as far as appliances go, I would just say, this is my favorite. It's the Instant Pot. I love it. It's not scary. So if it's still sitting in your box, take it out. It's not scary to use. This is my go-to piece for making protein, and protein's probably the biggest part of your meal prep. It takes the most time. It's what actually needs to be prepped most of the time. So if you don't have this, this is gonna be your key to making quick and easy protein. And then I have a blender, and that's because I eat a lot of protein blizzards. And so this is just like the Oster brand or whatever it is. It's not the best, but it does the trick. I'm probably gonna get a Blendtec or a Vitamix soon, so I can be making even more protein blizzards quicker. And that's pretty much my go-to stuff. But the 5 I listed are probably the ones that you need for a successful setup of a kitchen. And this is just super easy, the Instant Pot for protein prep. If you're trying to get into making more balanced meals, I would recommend that. And that's it. That's my kitchen. So that's all I got for you guys today. Like, that's my walkthrough. That's how I set up the kitchen to think about how can I use the space most efficiently to make meal prep simple and easy and effortless. Like, that's the name of the game. Any system or method that you're trying to implement, you want it to make sense in your life and in your space and in your ultimate goal. And my ultimate goal in my kitchen is to make my meal prep work for my actual nutrition plan and my nutrition goals, and the same as for my family. So that's how I set it up, and yeah, that's a little glimpse into the Lingzo kitchen. So hopefully you guys liked today's episode. If so, I'd love if you could give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe so you can catch more kitchen videos just like this one. Drop me a comment, let me know how do you organize your kitchen, or if you need any more tips for organizing the kitchen, drop it below. I would love to answer it in a future episode. All right guys, that's all I got. Chat soon.